Hello, Magic English 8 here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy watching the video and simultaneously develop your advanced English grammar, which is about the adjective clause. Today I am covering another section of this beautiful book, Communicate What You Mean With You, and that is the adjective clause. The other session we started talking about the adjective clause. As you remember, in video 25 I started introducing the adjective clause and talked about these relative pronouns, who, whom, which, that, whose, and these when, where, why, that all of them with the examples we talked about. And also here we talked about the distinction between the adjective clause and the adverb clause. In the previous video you can go and watch it. Where to bring the adjective clause we talked about, and here the exercises on whose and the exercises on other relative pronouns. And today I am with you with necessary or unnecessary adjective clauses, or restrictive and non-restrictive adjective clauses. So just reading some examples here in order to open the idea in your mind. All students who do not study will fail this course. So does it mean all the students will fail? The adjective clause is separating some students from the others. Says those who do not study will fail. So not all of them, just those who do not study. The adjective clause here is separating some from the rest. The bathrooms that are on the second floor are for women only. Are all the bathrooms for? No. Those that are on the second floor are for women only. Adjective clause is separating some bathrooms from the others. Necessary adjective clause. Here it says, my brother who lives in Chicago got married yesterday. My brother who lives in Chicago got married yesterday. What is the difference between C and D? Only these two commas. How important these two commas are. You see, is there any difference between these two sentences? Sure there is. The commas in D indicate that the speaker has just one brother. So the hearer also knows that this information here between the two commas is not essential. It is unnecessary. So it is the thing that the speaker and the hearer both know, that the guy has got just one brother. That's why it doesn't matter to say that brother who, because there is only just one brother. So this is unnecessary adjective clause. These two commas indicate that the speaker has just one brother, but here there are more than one brothers, and he wants or she wants to say my brother, that one who lives in Chicago, not the one who lives in Vancouver, not the one who lives in Europe, not the one who lives in Taipei or whatever, wants to say the one who. Here the adjective clause is necessary. The difference between these two is that in C there is more than one brother, in D there is only one brother. So you see how important these two commas could be. Let's go to the Word file and talk more about it. Before going forward, if you like this video, please kindly share it with your friends, like it, and subscribe if you haven't done so. Okay, Communicate What You Mean, the beautiful book, pages 132 to 137, the adjective clause, unnecessary and necessary ones. Prerequisite to watching and better understanding this video is videos 1, talking about parallel structure, word, phrase, and clause, dependent and independent, and the previous video 25, introduction on the adjective clause. Now here we got necessary, unnecessary. Look at these two pictures. Imagine that they are about my brother. One of them says, my brother who is in red is a linguist. My brother, comma, who is looking off into the distance is a linguist. So in this one, there are some people I want to select one from a list or a group. So the adjective clause here is necessary. I say, my brother, which one? That one who is in red is a linguist. But here, there is just one member. I don't need to select one from a list. Here, the adjective clause is unnecessary. So based on the context, based on the knowledge shared between the speaker and the hearer, sometimes we decide it is necessary or unnecessary. Here, the context, the picture is telling us that there is just one brother. So this brother who is looking off into the distance is a linguist. My brother is a linguist, but here we want to select. That's why it is necessary. So I am just warming up your mind. Here I will explain in details. Necessary adjective clauses or restrictive or defining adjective clauses, there are different names to them. It says these clauses provide essential information about the noun they are modifying. There are some features about necessary adjective clauses. They select one from a group, or they select a section from a group. Right here, what we did, we selected one from a group, so it is necessary adjective clause. The meaning, sometimes the meaning of the main clause is incomplete without them. So they complete the meaning of the main clause. In the examples following, we will talk about them. And they are not set off by commas. So necessary adjective clauses do not have commas. Look at these examples. Students who study hard usually do well on it. So do all the students do well? No, just those who study hard. And that means we are selecting apart from a group. Athletes who have paid their membership are all athletes admitted to the gym? No, just those who have paid their membership fees. So again, selecting some from a whole. Food that is high in sugar is not good for me. So is all food bad for my grandma? No, just the one that is high in sugar. Again, we are selecting apart from a whole. Necessary adjective clause, no commas. He is the scientist whose research was published last month. So again, this adjective clause, if we do not have this, the meaning of this is incomplete. He is the scientist. He is the scientist what? He is the scientist, and then supported by this necessary adjective clause in order to complete the meaning. No comma. The person who called you earlier left a message. So without this, the person left a message. Which one? We are modifying the noun before. Necessary adjective clauses without commas. Unnecessary adjective clauses or non-restrictive, non-defining. These clauses add extra information, non-essential information about the noun they are modifying. Some features about them: they are not selecting apart from a group. There is only one member. It's not a group selecting apart from. There is only one member, one of a kind. In the examples, you will find it out. They talk about the whole group. So maybe it is just one member. Maybe we are talking about the whole group. We are not selecting apart from a whole. It says not select a section from a group, and they are set off by commas. Unnecessary adjective clauses have commas before and after if they are in the middle of the sentence. They are talking about only one, and it's a whole group, not a part of that. Examples to clarify the point. My brother who lives in New York. So there is only one brother. It's not like you have to know in this example we need commas or. In that context, the speaker and the hearer, both of them know that he has just one brother. That's why. So if we don't know, it could be necessary, it could be unnecessary. It depends on the speaker and the hearer. It depends on the context. The Taj Mahal. How many Taj Mahals are there in the world? One. So we are not selecting one from several. Unnecessary, which is located in India. Professor Smith, whose lectures are always interesting, will be teaching this course now. So again, in the context that the two people are talking about, they know Professor Smith, who he is. That's why the commas. The new CEO. How many new CEOs could be to a company? One. So no need to select one from a list. The new CEO who was appointed last year. It is just one person. Has implemented several changes. Implement a change. Beautiful. Her best friend. How many best friends could someone have? Just one. So unnecessary adjective clause. Her best friend who lives 2 blocks away is traveling next week. Got it? Somehow. Common mistakes with the adjective clause necessary or unnecessary is that when we have non-restrictive or unnecessary adjective clause, we don't put that. We put which. So my car, comma, that is red, incorrect. My car, usually the person has just one car. That's why here we say unnecessary. If the person has more than one cars, then they would go my car without comma. That is red is parked outside. My car that is yellow is not parked outside. It depends on the context. Number 2, forgetting to use commas in non-restrictive. Again, the same story. If it is a which, put the comma. If it is a that, don't put the comma. Mount Everest. There is just one Mount Everest. We don't need this adjective clause. It needs to have a comma here. So if you're aiming to get a good score on IELTS, TOEFL, or any other standardized test, these points are important. Mount Everest, comma, which is the highest peak in the world, comma, attracts climbers from around the globe. Good synonym for word, globe. Okay, that is the story so far here. Now just let's take a look at the book and see what it says here for us. On page 133, it says unnecessary adjective clauses separated by commas, which we talked about. My father, in the case of brother and sister, we should think if it is necessary or unnecessary, but father and mother, because there is just one of them, always they are unnecessary adjective clauses. My father who is very tall. We don't want to say this father who. No, it is just one father, so unnecessary adjective clause. I learned how to play tennis from my father. Again, the same story. Relative pronoun that is not followed by the comma. We know about it. Here it says Chicago because there is just one Chicago. We don't need this adjective clause. It is unnecessary, which is in the state of Illinois. If there was another Chicago in another country, then the adjective clause would be necessary. So here, Chicago, comma, that, incorrect, Chicago, comma, which, comma, with which, that, without a comma. And here again, talking about some other points that could distinguish the noun. For example, my grammar book. Usually the person has just one grammar book. So that's why it is unnecessary. My grammar book, which is at home, was not very... If the person has 2 or 3 grammar books, if the person is studying languages and they have usually more than one grammar book, so they say, my grammar book, without the comma, that is at home, was not very... So it all depends on the context. But usually people have just one grammar book. That's why. Here it says the first grammar test. Because there is only one first grammar test, it is unnecessary adjective clause. My first grammar test, which was on the tenses, was the verb comma, comma. When the teacher returned my test, she gave me a disappointed look, which made me feel very uncomfortable. In that context, So it was just one occasion, one test, one teacher, one luck. That's why the adjective clause here is unnecessary. You should go back to the context of the sentence where it happened. Some specific names of persons, places, geographical locations that are specific, again, unnecessary adjective clause. Denver, one Denver. So, unnecessary adjective clause. Nelson Mandela. If we have two Nelson Mandelas in the history, then the adjective clause would be necessary. We want to say the Nelson Mandela who spent many years in prison, not the one who was, for example, an actor. But we know that there is one famous Nelson Mandela, so unnecessary adjective clause. If you're looking for a new doctor, I can recommend Dr. Parker, who is associated with City Hospital in that city, in that town where the speaker and the hearer are talking about. Dr. Parker is a known person. And the Arctic Ocean, of course, there's only one Arctic Ocean, unnecessary adjective clause, set off by two commas, which is a polar ocean, occupies about 5,440,000 square miles between North America and Greenland. Okay? And here it says in compositions, in speech, in all the text or context that you have, maybe a noun needs a necessary adjective clause in the beginning, but when it is known in the 10th sentence, that noun needs unnecessary adjective clause. So it all depends on the context and the scenario, the speaker and the hearer, and the shared knowledge. Got it? Now let's wrap it up and go to exercise 4 for more practice. Here it says, exercise 4.134. First, underline the adjective clause. I have done that. Instead of the underline, I have made it bold and italic. Second, circle the noun that each adjective clause modifies. It is the noun before, and punctuate wherever necessary. Let's go and do that. It says, our grammar class, because usually there is only one grammar class, so it is unnecessary adjective clause, which meets at 9 in the morning. Meet again is a beautiful means, which is held at 9 in the morning, is very interesting. But if someone studies languages and they have 2 or 3 grammar classes, then it should be necessary adjective clause. Our grammar class, that meets in that context. In the class, we don't have any students. Is it possible? No. We don't have any students who are from Vietnam. So we are selecting some from the rest. My best friend, Carlos, whose ability to speak English is very good, is from Mexico. So, my best friend, Carlos. There is only one best friend. Again, it is unnecessary adjective clause. The students who enter the class late are having a little... Do all the students have trouble? No, just a part of them. And that means necessary adjective clause, selecting a group from a whole. The grammar teacher dislikes students who are... Does the teacher dislike all the students? Not just some of them who. And that means necessary adjective clause. Cedric Kenous, who is an excellent student, is from Libya. So because there is just one Cedric Kenous in the class, unnecessary adjective clause. Unless there are 2 Cedric Kenouses in the class, which is a little improbable. His parents live in Tripoli, whose ancient, so specific name and unnecessary. His father, when it is father, it is just one father, so unnecessary adjective clause. Who is very tall, is an engineer in Libya. His parents, again just one set of parents, whom he spoke to last night, are going to visit him during next break. So as you see, all of these adjective clauses are modifying the noun before. I forgot to tell you, but whom modifies parents, who modifies father, whose, triple E, all of them modifying the noun before. Number 10, they are planning to spend a week in Puerto Rico. So you all know that this is unnecessary adjective clause. Said it's birthday, just one birthday for each person. So again, unnecessary adjective clause, which is 2 weeks away. We are planning to give him a surprise birthday party, comma, which will be, because it is a surprise birthday party, there is just one surprise birthday party, and that is the story. The party that we had last week was for another student. So the party and separating it from the other parties. So it is necessary adjective clause. The place where we had the party last week was too small. So the place, and if we link this sentence to this one, it is unnecessary adjective clause. When we are linking this sentence to the previous one, it is unnecessary. The place was too small. Linking it to the previous. I mean, if we consider all of them sentences back to back. I don't enjoy parties. Do you dislike all the parties? No, just those in which everyone is talking and is crowded into. So it is necessary adjective clause. I want to say I don't enjoy the parties that have this feature, necessary adjective clause without a comma. This was exercise 4. Now exercise 5. Read the sentences about the singer Elvis Presley. So here we can clearly understand necessary and unnecessary clause, adjective clauses, when they are talking about just one person or all the members. Let's see. Elvis Presley, whose records made him a millionaire, was a legendary singer. So a legendary, beautiful adjective. The commas here, what do they show? Do they show that there was only one Elvis Presley or there was more than? Of course, there was only one. Why? Because the adjective clause is unnecessary, and when it is unnecessary, we mean only one person in the group. Let's go back a little. Here, I listed the items for you. If it is unnecessary, there is only one member in the group. Or we are talking about the whole group in unnecessary adjective clauses. Okay. So it is only one, and it is just A. I mark it for you so you know about it. His fans, unnecessary, so it means all of them who still have wonderful memories of his performances continue to buy his record. So unnecessary adjective clause means all of his fans have wonderful memories. If there was no comma, it means just that group who has good memories, not the other ones. But the commas here show all of them do. His fans who still have wonderful, only those fans who have wonderful memories will continue to buy, not all of them. So only some of his fans. Elvis Presley was like many other popular singers who began their, so unnecessary adjective clause, it means popular singers in general begin their careers singing in church choirs. Usually all of them. Unnecessary adjective clause means all the members of a group. Elvis Presley was like many other singers who began. So just those singers who began in church choirs, not all of them. So it means only some of them. Elvis Presley also made many movies whose success was tremendous. Tremendous success, a very beautiful adjective collocation. So, made movies whose success. Unnecessary adjective clause means some of the movies. Elvis Presley made many movies whose success. Unnecessary adjective clause means all of them. Had tremendous success. At the beginning of his acting career, movie critics who gave his movies poor reviews said he didn't have any talent. So, movie critics who, those who, some of them. Unnecessary adjective clause, just some of them, not all of them. Beautiful collocation, poor reviews. Instead of bad reviews, poor reviews. Again, the same story, beginning of his career, movie critics said that he. So we can omit this adjective clause here, and then you see, movie critics said that he. So it means all the movie critics said so. Okay, so that is unnecessary adjective clause. All the members of a group. Number 10, after Elvis Presley died, his fans who suffered. So it means just some of the fans suffered because necessary adjective clause. So it means this one. But here the same sentence, his fans, again if I omit this part, you see his fans visited the Presley mansion in Nashville, Tennessee. It means all of them. So unnecessary adjective clause, all the members of a group. And his career, which was magical, it means all his career was magical. Got it? Exercise 6, 136, it says combine the sentences using who, which, or that, and then add commas wherever necessary. It's a very beautiful exercise because it tells us where to put the adjective clause. It says the author was a Frenchman, he wrote this book. So adjective clause for the author goes after the author. The author who wrote this book was a Frenchman. In that context, the speaker and the hearer are looking at the book, so they know that they are talking about the author of this book. Based on this analogy, I put the two commas, unnecessary. He and all of these sentences are linked together. He came from an area in France. This area is famous for its white wine. He came from an area in France. That is so. It is a part from the whole. Necessary adjective clause. He married a beautiful woman. This woman was also an author. So because there is just one wife, or we imagine there is just one wife, he married a beautiful woman who was also an author. Unnecessary adjective clause set off by a comma. Do you remember the name of his novel? The novel won the Pulitzer Prize. So, do you remember the name of his novel that won the Pulitzer Prize? He has had several novels. Just one of them won the Pulitzer Prize. So that's why it is necessary adjective clause. 2 points here. The Pulitzer Prize, a literary prize given to the authors, successful ones. And the pronunciation of this word, it is not won, as lots of learners feel. It is won. Win, won, won. Let's take a look at our dictionary and see what Longman says. Win, won, won. So you see, for example, this sentence can help us. He won
the Tour de France last year.
He won the Tour de France last year. And look at this one.
We won by just 1 point.
We won by just 1 point.
We won by just 1 point.
So it is not won, it is won. We won by just 1 point. Okay? So that is about won and Pulitzer Prize we talked about. They had only one son. It's a clue. He became an artist in the style of Impressionism. They had only one son, so unnecessary adjective clause. Who is an artist in the style of Impressionism, or who became an artist? That is the editor. He publishes most of their work. Not all of their work. Most of. So here we say that is the editor who publishes most of their works. It is not all of their works, and the meaning of the sentence will be incomplete without it. That is the editor. What does that mean? So necessary adjective clause, no comma, and works means the thing that usually an artist produces. It could be novels, it could be pieces of writing, it could be, for example, works of Leonardo da Vinci, the paintings. So pieces of art are called works. Number 7, the apartment is now a famous tourist attraction. The apartment is used as an art studio by their son. The apartment, we know which context we're talking about. The which is used as an art studio by their son is now a famous tourist attraction. The speaker and the hearer know which apartment they are talking about. Number 10, the painting is one of my favorites. The painting is hanging over the fireplace. So there are several paintings in that house. The painting that is hanging over the fireplace is one. So separating one from a whole. A friend, number 9, purchased the painting for me last year. This friend is a successful art dealer in New York. A friend who, unnecessary adjective clause. Why? Because I've got other friends as well. A friend who is a successful art dealer in New York purchased the painting for me last year. Unnecessary adjective clause. Sorry, necessary adjective clause. The painting depicts a cafe scene. The scene was very common during the 19th century. So the painting depicts a cafe scene. That is very common. It's not all the scenes, but it's very common. Necessary adjective clause. Some of these sentences could be both necessary or unnecessary, depending on the familiarity with the context, depending on the speaker and the hearer. So it's not the final word. Exercise 7, 136. Combine the sentences using when, where, why, and add commas where necessary. Again, a very beautiful, useful exercise. It says, Sue met Dick during the summer quarter. She was studying in New York then. Sue met Dick during the summer quarter. It's clear, so unnecessary. When she was studying in New York, and we omit then because when comes substituting for then. Number 2, they got married a year later. He finished his degree in marketing at that time. They got married a year later when he finished his degree in marketing, and at that time is omitted. Dick didn't give an explanation. He changed from psychology to marketing. Dick didn't give an explanation why he changed from psychology to marketing. Usually adjective clauses with why are necessary. Usually. They are now living in Houston, Texas. Dick's company is located there. They are now living in Houston, Texas, where Dick's company is located, and omit there because where has come. Unnecessary. They didn't give a reason Dick wanted to leave Texas. They didn't give a reason why Dick wanted to leave Texas. Number 6, next year they will move to Boston. Dick will become the executive in charge of marketing for his company's new East Coast office there. Next year they move to Boston, where Dick will become the executive in charge of marketing for his company and whatever. So we don't need this there. Number 7, they will not move until June. The weather is nice for driving long distances at that time of year. They will not move until June when the weather is nice for driving long distances. So, unnecessary adjective clause. June is clear. Number 8, Sue has not given an explanation. They decided to drive instead of fly. Sue has not given an explanation why they decided to drive instead of fly. And exercise 8, page 137. It says write sentences containing these adjective clauses. When you finish, compare with another partner. So some sentences here, I have written them this way. Emma Stone, who's been in a lot of movies lately, won an Oscar last year. Adjective clause, unnecessary. The telephone, which was invented in the 19th century, revolutionized communication. Unnecessary. Elon Musk, unnecessary. Everybody knows him. Whose name has been in the news a lot lately, is pioneering space travel, is among the first who is doing that. The library where we're studying English is open until midnight. So the speaker and the hearer, both of them know which library they are talking about. That's why unnecessary adjective clause. One sentence in isolation doesn't make sense, whether it is necessary or unnecessary, unless the noun is a proper noun. Number 5, Christmas. Of course, unnecessary. When people gather together with their families, is a time of joy and celebration. Pokemon Go, number 6, which was popular a few years ago, got people outside and moving. Exercise number 7, J.K. Rowling, whose work is known all over the world, wrote the Harry Potter series. What a great author, what a great series. Late Michael Jackson, number 8, who died not long ago, was a legendary icon. Michael Jackson, a legendary icon in music, in dance, and everything. Okay, so that is the end of the session today. What is next? The upcoming lesson will be again relative pronouns or adjective clauses, but this time as subject of the adjective clause. A relative pronoun, subject. Pages 137 to 139. As a clip review, what did we talk about today? We talked about adjective clauses necessary, unnecessary. In a nutshell, I told you the necessary adjective clause doesn't need commas. The unnecessary needs commas. Necessary means a group is selected from a whole, or one is selected from a whole. Unnecessary means it is just one member or it is the whole group. So we are not separating a part from the whole. Necessary, here I told you about them. They come with commas. Examples we talked about. Unnecessary adjective clauses, they add extra information. They are talking about the whole group or just there is one member, like the Elvis Presley examples, and they are set off by commas. Here I told you in unnecessary adjective clauses, please put which and commas. And when you use which, put commas. With that, no commas. The exercises that we covered and all the adjective clauses about Elvis Presley, a very useful exercise to open up our eyes on necessary, unnecessary adjective clause. And also this exercise 6 was beautiful because we learned where to put the adjective clause, and it depends on our understanding whether to put the commas or not to put the commas. Exercise 7 the same, and exercise 8 where we produced some adjective clauses. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson today, and I hope you have beautifully understood the distinction between necessary and unnecessary adjective clause. You know that for aiming a high score on IELTS and TOEFL, you need to pay attention to advanced grammar and of course the punctuation. A single comma could make a lot of difference between the meaning of one sentence. So pay attention to these points, and that way you will improve your scores on standardized tests like IELTS, TOEFL, CELPIP, or any other test. If you like this video, please share it with your friends, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. Thank you very much for watching these videos, and I hope that you have a brilliant day ahead of you. Take very good care, and bye